I am here this morning with two special guests. I didn't know if Josh and Jay were going to say anything. I was hesitating.
Are we the special guests?
No, you're not, but usually you have something to say. But we're here with Jim Gibson, the executive pastor at First Baptist Church Cleveland, and his friend Jay is with us as well. And we're talking about an upcoming conference that's very exciting
Absolutely.
For the community, and Voice of the Martyrs. And welcome to both of you this morning.
Well, thanks. It's great to be here.
Well, there's a lot to go over, and some tributes, I think, to make as well for a special person that is now, I guess, considered one of the martyrs in our world today. But Jim, if you don't care, why don't you just explain a little bit to our audience what Voice of the Martyrs is?
Okay. Voice of the Martyrs is a global ministry whose primary objective, I think, is two or three things. Number one, to honor people who have given their lives for the cause of Christ. Number two, to make people aware of the persecuted church all around the world, what people who live in these countries or areas go through, how we can pray for them, how we can potentially encourage them. They have one area of ministry where you can actually write a letter to someone whose family member is in prison, and they'll get the letter to those family members all around the world. So it's really trying to personalize what people are going through, cause people to pray, challenge people to go on the mission field and to, as Scripture says, lay down your life for others. And there are many people that have been willing to do that and have done that. And this is why Jay's here, because of a family scenario that he walked through right here in our own community, impacted a number of years ago. And so they're doing that. These conferences are to give people who maybe have a family member who was killed, or they have worked in areas where people have been persecuted or martyred for the cause of Christ, and then to share how people can pray for their specific areas, like these guests that are coming here on Saturday.
And we talked earlier, I remember Voice of the Martyrs growing up, hearing it and on the radio, and we actually looked up how old or how long they've been around,
Right.
and since 1967.
Correct. That's exactly right.
So they're ingrained in the world today, and I guess give voice to those who are around the world doing kingdom work, and then those who have been martyred and given their life
Exactly.
for the cause.
There's going to be somebody at the conference related to Iran, somebody related to the Philippines, somebody related to India, and one of the ladies sharing, she and her husband were actually on an anniversary trip at a resort in the Philippines when it was attacked. And after having been held captive, her husband died in a rescue operation that took place. And her testimony is powerful. As a matter of fact, you can go on to the Voice of the Martyrs website and hear a brief snippet, if you will, of her testimony, and I'm telling you, it's unbelievable. She's going to be one of the speakers Saturday at the conference here in Cleveland.
Okay. And Jay, what is your role in the conference? I know you work with missions and things like that. If you don't care to share just a little bit of your role.
My wife and I are privileged just to be a part of the planning team. And our specific role is we're going to be part of the greeting team to welcome people. And we know, I believe, Jim, that we've got 7 or 8 states. People are coming to the conference, and certainly we want to have them feel a Christ-like love welcome to the community. So that's my specific role as it relates to the conference. And of course, I very much have a passion for the lives lived and the legacy left of martyrs. And so I very much believe in that the Lord has a specific purpose in the lives that have been lived and have given. And one comment I'd make, I've talked to a couple of people, and Jim may have heard the same thing. People often will talk about a conference, Martyrs, and say, "Oh, that must be depressing. That must be discouraging." And we all have emotions, and we feel those. But in the end, I think the conference, I'm sure, will leave people feeling challenged and saying, "Hey, I'd like some of that myself. I know that the Lord can use me and my life to serve for Him." So I'm sure the conference in the end will be very challenging and hopefully will result in a number of people choosing to be a part of the Great Commission, which is to go and make disciples.
There'll be a lot of resources at the conference from a number of ministries, global ministries. People can find out how those ministries are working in different countries. There'll be materials that they can get. Some are free, some can be purchased. And again, it's like auto or biographies of people who've been in these areas. Stories of people who've been in places. I was just finished recently reading a book called The Peace Child about a missionary couple who went to the South Pacific in an area where literally cannibals were there, and his story of how God revealed to him how he could share with these people, and it's just unbelievable. And this was only about 40 or 50 years ago. It's not that it was 100 or 200 years ago. This was just 40 or 50 years ago. And today, in places around this world, there are people who may go to worship, who may gather for Bible study under the real possibility of being persecuted, put in prison, families separated, and even dying for their faith. And so there will be a lot of things at the conference beyond the 4 speakers and the worship time that will just show people how they can be personally engaged in the global mission effort, and specifically as it relates to the persecuted church.
Right. And you know, I am in awe of those who are called to the mission field, especially in, you know, the more dangerous countries, and, you know, they're willing to go. They're willing to take God's word and to bring it to these people who haven't ever heard it and risk their lives. And I just think it's something to be in awe of, you know, just their willingness to do that and God's calling on their lives.
Jay, why don't you share a little bit about your son and what took place and how that's impacted not only your life, but the lives of people in our church and this community.
Good, I'll do that. Yes, our son was very much felt a call. I think a key characteristic that I've observed over the years in getting to know a number of people who serve in a special way in challenging areas is a unique passion and a desire to listen to the will of the Lord and not be driven by personal objectives per se, but to be listeners and followers, and then at that point they can be confident and passionate in what they do. And I very much saw that in our son. He was very goal-oriented and had felt from a very young age. In fact, he was on a trip with some friends of ours in Mexico as a teenager when he first felt the Lord speaking to him. And then over the years, that passion, that call, he continued to feel, and as he married, his wife felt a similar passion, and as they had children, they also loved the Lord and wanted to serve Him. And so for a number of years, they worked in an extremely challenging area, and in the end, it was an area that very challenging, but generally respectful and peaceful. But we always understood that it would take only a few radicals to take his life, and that is what happened. And but it's now looking back several years later, it's very rewarding to see another aspect of the martyrs, and I'm sure we'll hear that at this conference related to others. The Lord has a plan. There's a legacy left in the deaths of his special called people. And, personally, I feel just blessed to be a very small part in continuing that legacy as we continue to go to that country even now. And I think the Lord is allowing the life of my son to continue for his glory. And so I'm pleased to go and visit where his body lays here often, but at the same time to be able at that time to rejoice to know that he's in the presence of the Lord.
Yes.
And he gave his life willingly, and he gave his life before he left, and so we're just saddened in a personal sense, but rejoicing in a spiritual sense that to have known our son and many others. Not a unique situation. There are thousands of martyrs around the world, but I have no doubt that a characteristic of each of them was persistent passion in serving the Lord. And I also am confident that another characteristic is that the Lord wants to bless their memories and the legacy that follows for his glory.
Oh, definitely.
Jay, share, if you would, the saying that was very common in your son's life that challenged him and also can be used to challenge others even today.
Yeah, I don't believe he may or may not have coined this phrase, but he used it often. So therefore, but he liked to share his vision and encourage others. We all, and he especially, understood that it takes many people in many capacities to make the Lord's work prosper. People giving, praying, going in different capacities, encouraging and whatever. And as he would speak with people over the years, he generally, at the conclusion of his comments, would say, if not you, who? And if not now, when? As a challenge and encouragement to have people participate in the same joy that he was experiencing and to serve the Lord. But so, if not you, who? And if not now, when?
Yeah. It's pretty neat, isn't it,
It
Wendy?
is. It really
Yeah.
is. And I know you're so proud. He paid the ultimate price, but proud of his life and his family, wife and
Yeah,
children,
very
and
much so.
what they're doing and what he did. But at the same time, as a believer, you've got hope. You will see
That's
him
right.
again one day.
That's
So-
exactly
that's
right.
What we in the days after he was assassinated, that's what we very much the Lord allowed us to do was to as we shed tears to laugh and rejoice, knowing that he is in the arms of the Lord, and we very much now look back and just wonderful to know that his wife still continues to work in the same country. In fact, she just got back. And each of the children are very much, I think, especially blessed and called. And so, again, a part of the legacy. And speaking personally, I hope I live long enough to see more and more of the seeds grow that he was able to help plant by the grace of God.
I read a verse this morning, and it said something like this: rejoice in hope, be patient in persecution, and then look forward to the glory of God has, and pray in all things. And that's really, in a way, what this conference this coming Saturday is all about, because there is persecution for all of us to varying degrees. And so that's sort of the challenge this coming Saturday. It is at our church. We're really just the host for this conference. The doors will open at 8 o'clock. People can register online at our website, or they can go to VOMED.org events.com and register. There's no cost for the conference. There will be a love offering received, and not just for Voice of the Martyrs. None of it will go to our church. It'll be for the various ministries that are represented there. And the conference begins at 9. There'll be a lunch break where people go out around our church, in restaurants and eat lunch, come back for an afternoon session. It ends at 4. There'll be 2 speakers in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. You can come for part of the day, the whole day, whatever people want to do, and you can register at the door. So you don't have to pre-register. It would help us as we plan, obviously, but that's the details of it, and it's going to be an awesome time together. 4 speakers. There'll be times of worship. There'll be a prayer room where people can go and pray as God lays things on their heart. And then again, these resources that are available in the commons area of our church to make people have an opportunity, or to give people an opportunity to take home things that will just expand what God does in their hearts at the conference. And so the church website, www.clevelandfbc.com, and then Voice of the Martyrs, VOMevents.com as well.
Okay, this Saturday, February 18th from 9 to 4.
That is correct.
I didn't know if Josh had found it to pull up the flyer, but
we do have on the laptop screen here. If you look up there on the First Baptist Cleveland website, if you go to the home page, you will be able to go down and scroll through the events that they have on here on their website, and then it'll click on the event. And some more information, you can actually register right there on the website right there.
And I don't know if it happens as you go through our church website. I have no computer savvy whatsoever. But I know if you go directly to the VOMevents.com, when you register, a short video clip of the lady who's going to be speaking is on there, and that'll just get you fired up and ready to be a part of this time on Saturday. We have about 700 to 800 people that are already registered, as Jay said, from 8 different states. And so we're just thrilled at what's taken place and all of that kind of thing that we can be a part of in this area.
Well, I know it'll be a very special event, and to raise awareness too for those who've never been a part of it as well. So we encourage you to get registered and make sure that you attend the Voice of the Martyrs Advanced Conference Saturday, February 18th from 9 to 4 at First Baptist Cleveland. Thank you both so much for being here today and sharing your story a little bit with us, Jay. And I know there's a lot more to tell. And your daughter-in-law had written a book as well. And I did want to mention that. And I was hoping Josh had that pulled up too, just so we could show a copy of the book. But what's the name of her book?
We died before we came. And my daughter-in-law's name is Emily Foreman. And so... I'm not sure how you find such things. I'm even
and we actually have it.
Savvy than Jim.
We actually have that pulled up there.
Nice, thank you.
If you go to
You're now looking at it.
Tyndale.com. That's TYNDALE.com, and it's We Died Before We Came Here, and a true story of sacrifice and hope.
Yes.
And it is a powerful story. I mean, when you start reading it, you cannot put the book down. It is tremendous.
Well, we encourage you to go buy the book. Oh, very good. Josh just did. See how easy it is?
Isn't it the truth? It's amazing.
Just a click of the mouse. Well, thank you again for being with us this morning, and we look forward to the conference on Saturday.
Great. Thanks, Wendy, very much, and thank you all.
Thank you very much.
We'll be right back.